Hey guys, this is a quick look at the before. I am going to have to redo my craft room in pieces, but I wanted to show you the before I do anything. So I have lived in this house since May of 2020, so over 4 years now. And this room was the first room I did when I moved in, and I had it very nice, very functional, and I loved it. You can see I do still have some pieces that are very well organized, mostly over here by my desk, though it's a little messy right now. I have some stuff that's functional. A lot of these drawers are functional but overflowing. But then as time went on, this became a dumping ground of old furniture, namely this big black calyx. Well, I don't hate having all that space. You can see it's not well organized and it doesn't coordinate. And it forced me to move my blue couch to my blue accent wall, which I hate. I hate the way this looks. I'm very over this blue accent wall. I would like some new paint in here and some new furniture. Plus, I want it to be just way more functional. Over here, I have my closet, which is the least functional piece right now. You can see I did spend some time and money buying organizers, which I intend to continue using in here. However, the floor has become a dumping ground. Things are extra messy now though because it is December daily season, which means my December daily supplies are out rather than stashed away. They are down here, which is fine for now. But what I really want, what my goals are for this room, is for it to be functional, beautiful, and inviting. A place that I'm happy to clean up after myself because I like the way it looks when it's done. A place where I can find all of the supplies I need to create what I want to create. And a place where I can relax and make stuff.
Okay, so here's a look at my Pinterest board, and I just wanted to give you a feel for what I'm going for. I wanted a more earth tones feel. I wanted something a little cozier than what I had in the past. I want some fake plants. I want to bring in a lot of pieces and art. I want it to be more cozy of a feel than I've had in the past. In the past, I had the blue accent wall and it was kind of bright with a lot of white. And I do still want to keep a lot of white because I do want my white furniture. But I'm thinking that I need to go with a little bit more of a cozy, earthy feel. So let's see how I can make that work. I'm starting out by picking out my paint color.
Okay, so it's been a few months since my last update, and I wanted to share where my craft room is now before I really start overhauling. So, to start, you can see my desk looks pretty much the same as it did in my last video. It's pretty messy, but that's just standard. I do have this new drawer shelf up on top of my desk to hold more markers and pens. I plan to organize this a bit better, but for now, that's what I have right there. The rest of it is pretty much the same. However, on this side of my room, you can see I got rid of that horrible black calyx and replaced it with some white ones. I had another white 2x4 calyx here that I had elsewhere in the house. I was able to repurpose and bring it in here. And then I purchased a 3x4 calyx for the middle. An unexpected joy of having it only be 4 tall rather than 5 tall meant that I have this really nice shelf on the top that I'm using for some additional decor. Down here I have my December daily supplies because I'm trying to wrap that up using those, and then I'll put them away. And then down here, I have my new Cameo 5. I'm super excited to set that up, but first I'm going to try to get my craft room nice. You can see I spent a little bit of time on these shelves. I put that organizer on top that used to hold my mugs, and my plan is to fill it with cute little trinkets. Right now I have some ink bottles and decor. I added some new baskets and a few decor pieces on these shelves that I'm really happy with. And I did a little bit of cleanup, you can see. But this is what it looks like for now. Pumpkin is still loving this couch. However, I'm going to get rid of it. So it is January 2025, and the next step in this redo is to repaint the walls. This is going to be quite a hassle because I have to move everything to paint it. And that, I've been dreading it, honestly, but I'm gonna do it because that means that I can start finally getting everything in place and purchasing some new furniture and really getting my systems organized. How I decided to tackle this is I'm going to paint this wall in the back of my craft room and this blue wall first by moving everything out of the way and painting them. And then 2 weeks later, I'm going to paint the other 2 walls. And I'm going to take you along on that journey.
Okay, so the first step is just to move everything out of the way. And this is really why I decided to do 2 walls at a time for painting, because I just have so much stuff in my craft room. So it was just not really feasible to move all of it out of my craft room. I do have space elsewhere in the house, but it would have been really tedious to move everything because it couldn't just go straight out of my craft room door. Like right outside my craft room is the entryway to the house. So I would have had to move things either upstairs or down in the basement, and it just wasn't feasible. So I stacked everything I could either in the closet or on my desk. My desk was not functional for this weekend. You can see Pumpkin's helping there. I pushed shelves either over closer to the desk, or some are across the hall in the den, which made the den a little unusable for this weekend. And then I'm starting to tape. So if you haven't painted yet yourself at home, if you haven't done this process, it really isn't as scary as it seems. There are definitely some tricks though, and the first one, the most important one, is to buy good painter's tape and take your time really taping. The taping really matters. Then once you tape, you're going to want to paint over the edge of your tape using whatever color is on the other side. So for here, I'm taping over the baseboards, which are white. So I'm going to do a nice coat of white paint just right along the strip of the baseboard, because I don't want any of my wall color to seep through onto the baseboard. And painting the white on there first is going to make sure that anything that seeps through is white and not the color of my walls. I have to tape off the entirety of both walls that I'm doing, which means taping off the ceiling as well. And this really is a full day process. So the first day was spent mostly moving everything, taping, and then adding the white paint and allowing that to dry overnight. So day 2 was spent painting, and you can see the color I chose. It's called Ethereal Mood from Sherwin-Williams. And another tip I have for painting is to splurge on the high quality paint. If you do something like Sherwin-Williams, which is a great brand, they have a lot of sales. So I think I got this on a sale where I could buy 1 can and get 1 can free, which made it super affordable. I needed 2 cans to complete my room. I did not use the full second can, but it's good to have some extra so that you can always do touch-ups later or whenever you need it for whatever reason. You can see I'm using paint rollers for most of it and a brush for around the edges. I actually break out my painting brushes like from fine arts painting to do the touch-ups along the edges, but for the main part of the wall, I'm just using rollers. And using the high quality paint means that it's not going to show any roller marks, it's not going to show any lines, it's going to be super smooth, which was key especially for doing 2 walls at a time, because as you see, I'm going to have to leave a section kind of undone and meet it on the next time. You can't see at the top of the ceiling there, but I am painting along the ceiling using a paintbrush and using the roller for the big spot in the middle. I have 10-foot ceilings, so I'm standing on a 6-foot ladder, which helps me able to reach everything. And then here I have some footage. You can see a close-up of the wall. This is an angle from me being up on the ladder to show you how the room looks on day 2 once I completed the painting. So you can see there's a little bit on the edges that is not quite done, and that's okay. It's going to stay like that for 2 weeks, and I'm going to live with it like that because I needed the ability to still craft and have this room be functional while I was painting. On day 3, on Sunday, I did take down all the tape and do touch-ups. I didn't film that process, but I am filming me putting everything back, which I feel like is super satisfying to watch. I'm just trying to slide all of these in and put everything back on the shelves, and this time I'm going to try to organize it a little bit better. It's not going to be perfect for sure because I am definitely going to need to do this again when I go through and really organize everything, but just getting stuff to a place where the walls are painted and the furniture is in its final position is just so calming for me. I'm going through and just cleaning all the shelves, taking advantage of the fact that they're empty before I start loading everything back up. Okay, so I'm not going to be spending too much time organizing these shelves at this point in time because I feel like I'm going to finalize everything in my craft room at a future date. But I did pick up some things to try to start organizing these shelves. So I'm doing my craft room in a very realistic way as opposed to, a quick makeover. This is going to take me probably a year to do entirely, but I will share the process with you as I go. For these shelves, I wanted my shelves to be functional, but I also wanted them to be pretty. And I wanted the different shelves to kind of balance out each other. So not have too many album shelves and too many other things shelves and have it just kind of be balanced. So a lot of these you can see are albums. Many of them are completed albums and some of them are works in progress albums. I also am putting a lot of things up on top. You can see my painting there from Paint Vibe. I have a letterboard, I have my typewriter, and then I'm going to put some additional albums on top. While I'm doing this, I'm thinking through kind of what do I want to be on these shelves? What do I know I need on here? What do I have space for? And just thinking it through, and you'll see me thinking a few times. Across the bottom there are all my older Project Life albums. I have done Project Life consistently since 2013, so I have all of those albums across the bottom. However, I don't keep them all in the living room. I only keep the more recent ones in the living room. So these ones go from 2013 to 2022 in my craft room. I have those white plastic bins. I purchased those on Amazon, and I have a couple sets of them, and I use them to store some smaller supplies. I love the labels on them and the wooden lids. I have some larger wood crates that I have to hold some smaller items. One of them has mini albums, one has yarn, just those various types of products to balance out the shelf. You can see I'm also adding in some decor items. I'm adding some books stacked separate horizontally, just to add a little bit of a different look to the shelves. I have all of my one little word albums. A lot of my older planners and journals are on these shelves, things that I'm going to want to reference or have available to me in my craft room. I'm adding some of the framed photos that were previously on my wall. I had a gallery wall on my blue wall in the past, and I'm not going to have that again. I'm also adding some fake plants that I picked up on Amazon, and everything that I purchased on Amazon is going to be linked in the description box below if you're interested in getting that same item or looking for something similar and seeing more details. This shelf on the top here, I previously had used to store my mugs, but it was a little small, so I'm filling it with a bunch of random details. And this is how these shelves will live for now. In a future video, once I have everything how I perfectly want it, I will share a complete walkthrough of how I have my entire craft room set up. So 2 weeks later, I am going to do the other side of my craft room, and this is the more difficult side because this is where my desk is. You can see I temporarily set my desk up along the wall that used to be blue, and I moved a lot of my tables just kind of over to that side of the room to make space, and so I could still use my computer over the course of the weekend while working on this wall. I had to remove some things and spackle them to cover the holes, and then I will have to sand that down once it dries, and again, I'm doing my taping, my white paint, and then my painting. This process worked for me to do it in this way because I have a 3-day weekend every other weekend. So that's why I chose to do this every other weekend. It also gave me some space in between the two large painting projects to do some other stuff on the weekend because I do work full time. And I'm also trying to stay current with my craft content. I have some craft obligations with some creative teams, and I just want time for my hobbies. So doing all of that in this way made this project feasible for me, and I didn't have to also find a place to put all of my stuff while working through this painting project. You can see how smoothly the paint blended between the portion I did the first weekend and the portion I did the second weekend. It didn't really matter at all that I split this project up. I painted around that shelf that I have. I left the floating shelf there because I still want it. And you can see as I work through these two walls, which took me enough of the day that it was pretty much the main thing I did that day, but I also had enough time to do some other things. just like the first time when I did the weekend of painting, the third day on Sunday was spent doing touch-ups, putting everything back together, taking down the tape, and then reassembling my room. Just like with the first part of my room that I reassembled, I'm thinking through the best way to do this in an easy, quick fashion. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because I will do a deeper organization at some point, but for now, this is working.
Okay, you guys, this is a quick look at what my room looks like now. This craft room is far from done, but I have a lot of the big stuff done. As you can see, the walls are fully painted, which is amazing. I have this furniture over here, these cubbies. That's pretty much done. I do need to go through and set things up a little bit better, finish organizing the top. But for now, this is gonna work. Over here, I have my printer and paper set up. That is pretty much unchanged from how I had it before. I will probably go through this at some point and purge some stuff, but for now, that's working. My desk setup is pretty similar to how I had it before. I did clear off a little bit more desk space. I did not really clean up my room for this video because this is just kind of where I am now. So my computer setup is still pretty much the same. This wall here is going to be more of an inspiration wall. I've pinned a few things up there. I hope to kind of cover a little bit more of it and just have it kind of be fluid. I will change things as they go. I do need to label my drawers here and make this setup just a little bit. I'm gonna go closer because of the glare. Just make this a little bit, more cleanly and organized. I apologize for the glare. It's super sunny here, which is nice. This is my main workspace. And so you can see I have my camera mount above it. There's my stack of current journals and planners. I always leave that out. My stamp organization is still pretty much how it was before. I kind of rearranged what was on this shelf a little. You can see it's a little bit different. Still in progress though. And then these cubbies over here are pretty much the same that they were before. I did remove, I used to have stamps right here, or ink pads, and I took that out and put some of my current projects, and I put the inks in a basket so they took up a lot less space. They were in an organizer from Stamp and Storage, who makes all these like wood colored ones. And I just don't use colorful stamping inks that often, so it was kind of a waste of space for me. Here I have my stamp organization that I'm currently working on. This is my content planner and my sewing machine. My rolling cart hasn't really been redone since I redid it. I have a video on my YouTube channel sharing how I've done that. Underneath there, I have some stuff that I kind of reorganized. I'm not going to go through it in tons of detail now because I will do that in my final craft room tour once my craft room is done. But I just kind of wanted to show you guys where I am now. And this is a long process. So I have my Alex drawers underneath here still. And again, some of these are organized, some of them are not. That's an ongoing project. Then the last two things in this room, one is my closet. I organized this a long time ago when I first moved in. And you can see it is very much not organized. It has become a dumping ground. And I'm thinking of doing a full video of just how I organize my closet and redoing it, taking everything out and reorganizing it. I do have these really nice organizers from the Container Store. They were pretty expensive. I spent a lot of money in here when I first moved in. And you can see I have like the basics of organization, but then a ton of stuff is just dumped on top. So I am definitely going to need to redo this closet, which I'm thinking is going to be its own video in this series as I get my craft room completely redone. The last part of my craft room that is the most incomplete is this wall. So if you recall, this used to have cubbies here a long time ago, and this was a blue wall. And then for a while, I had a couch here that looked out of place because I was really just kind of shifting stuff around. So now my plan is to put a chair right here, which I've already ordered, and I have a clip for that. So hopefully I shared that earlier and you saw that, but I will share that in one of my upcoming videos for my redo. This is my new Silhouette Cameo 5. I think it's a 5. And my cubbies here that are clearly in need of some organization. My hope is to add some art here and make this like a very nice organized nook. So clearly everything that's currently in those cubbies needs to go. But that is just kind of how things look for now. Just to kind of complete the loop, I have my TV over there and my foam board that I use for photographing projects. So that is where my craft room is now. Far from complete, but the big project of painting has been done. And I have a lot of ideas for where I'm gonna go from here. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And stay tuned for more craft room updates as I continue sharing in real time how I redo and reorganize this entire craft space and hopefully complete it by the end of the year.
Thanks. Bye.